You have a scanned document. So let's say you have a listing packet that you scanned everything all at once, and you don't want to have to scan each thing individually. So you have the listing contract, you have lead-based paint, things like that. I don't want to have to scan each thing individually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it as one scan, and then I'm going to open it. I'm going to hit other actions, and I'm going to hit split document. I'm going to choose how many documents I want to split it into. Obviously, based on the amount of pages, I'm going to go through, put in which each file name is, things like that. You can still scroll in the background too, so that this way when you're going through, you know what each document is. And then I'm going to hit split. The original document's still going to be in there. I'll bounce back to it in a sec. But it's going to be split into two separate documents as well. So you see file 1, file 2.
Chunk
the original
is going to be in there.
Is archived. It archives the original, but splits it and puts it as the new documents in there. So one more time. I'm going to put it in as a one document. I'm going to open it. I'm going to hit other actions, and then I'm going to hit split document. You also have the option too, is if you didn't scan it at the right angle, you can hit other actions, rotate document, and then I can actually rotate the file in here as well.
What would be the purpose of splitting it?
Is if let's say you go out on the listing, you actually met with them, had them hand signed everything. You're going to have the listing contract, you're going to have real estate relationships, you're going to have lead-based paint. When you submit it to the office, it needs to be individual files in there. It can't be bulk, things like that. So you're going to go in, you're going to scan everything at once rather than scanning it each separate one and then uploading each document, and then I'm going to hit split document. And like I said, you can rotate it as well in there too. So for example too, if I replace a file, this is what I was saying. Once you open it, you can hit other actions and hit document history, and it's going to show you the different versions of that file in there. So everything's always in there at all times. One of the other options you have too is once you click this right arrow, you can also fax a document. So if you're working with an older agent who doesn't use email, things like that, instead of having to print it out, fax it, to go to the fax machine, fax it to them, you have the option to right here from this arrow next to the document, fax it to somebody. It's going to go through the internet based on their servers and everything and fax it. It'll come through with a cover page and everything too. You can type the message as to what it is. And then I can hit send. From there, it faxes it right out. Keep in mind, obviously, it's not instantaneous. It'll take probably 10-15 minutes to go through. But instead of ever having to fax a document, you can do it right from in here. Yes. Okay.
How can I merge them together?
You could copy the documents from the one to the other by checking it. So I could do this, and I'm going to hit copy to. And I can copy it to that other folder in that same loop, and then just archive the other folder that I don't want to see anymore. You can't take files. So if I have... You can't drag between folders in a specific loop, unfortunately. When you have a signed document too, let's pull up one of mine. It's going to always up the top, you'll see that they signed it. this person chooses to actually use the type signature rather than drawing it, it's always going to be secured as well and have signature verification up the top. Once somebody signs a document, you can't go in and edit anything or make any changes to it. You'll see is because of the fact that he already signed this, if I go to add text or do something to it, it's going to come up with a notification saying that you have to make a new document, and it's going to clear out the signatures. This is so people haven't signed documents and then you're going in and changing the terms, conditions, things like that. If I accidentally, let's say, I cleared out their signatures by accident because of the fact that I added that text box, what I can do is, again, I can hit document history. You'll see all the different versions of the document in here, and then I can pull up the old version where they had actually signed it still, and it's still in there. The other main thing is going to be loop statuses types. So you'll have purchase, listing for sale, listing for lease, things like that. You're always going to want to put in the status as to the loop, things like that. So let's say this is a purchase, and then the other status, sub-status is going to be, for example, for purchase is going to be pre-offer, under contract, sold. You need to keep that updated throughout the whole loop as well, so this way the office, when they're logging in to see, they know where everything is throughout the whole process. By default, once you archive something or mark it as sold or leased, you're not going to see it anymore. So like I said, you can never delete anything with .loop. It's always still going to be in there. So what I would do is I'm going to hit the filter button up the top of the loop screen, and then I can pull up and see, let's say I want to see sold, leased, and archived as well. Everything is all still going to be in here. Is if I have a lot of transactions from the past and things like that, and I don't want to scroll through and look for everything, I can go right here, I can hit search. I can search by the client's name, the property address. Everything is going to be in there and searchable pretty much.
Sorry, a question for you, Sienna. What is the most efficient way in a loop? You know, sometimes transactions don't go together. So you've got, maybe I had listing, there was buyer, the deal died, now I have a new buyer. What's the best way to keep that in a loop so it doesn't get confused?
Like I said, I would always say 2 folders in each loop. I mean, if you have a buyer, let's say, even for example, and you're working with that buyer, you're going to have all the buyer documents, pre-qual, their forms, things like that, in one folder, buyer docs, and then I'm going to have agreement of sale docs for that property in another folder. So like, for example, this is one of mine. I'm going to have buyer docs folder for the listing, and then I'm going to have docs, which is going to be everything for the seller side, things like that, listing contracts, master deed for the association, because even if that other deal falls through, I'm going to always still need those documents in there. You'll see down the bottom of each loop as to who's in each loop as well. Give me a sec. So it's going to say there's the sellers, I'm the listing, the buyer's agent on this one. You can add people to your team. So if you have a specific person on your team that you work with at all times, you can add them so this way they have access to view every document that's in there at all times. You never want to add a co-op agent as to your team though, because they can see all your listing docs, everything like that, seller's contact information at all times. So it's only going to be somebody that you actually work with on every deal that's on your side as well. So you can add somebody to your team. So if you have somebody that you work with that's on your side on every transaction, what I can do is I'm going to hit add person down the bottom. I'm going to hit their name. and I'm going to click the button Add to My Team. It's going to come up obviously with a notification saying it can't be undone. They can see any document that's in there at all times. You never want to do it with a co-op agent. So if you have somebody from another company, even in this office, because they can go in, they can see your listing documents, they can see seller's email address, contact information, things like that.
So it would be like your buyer's agent or somebody
That works
has access
works
to-
for you, yeah.
Okay.
Administrator, things like that.
So when you add someone to your team, they accept the application, do they would be able to go in their own loop and have that same loop duplicated in there?
Correct. Everything's edits is updates on theirs as well. If somebody if they're on your team and you send out documents for somebody, they'll get an email notification as well saying that person signed it.
So it almost becomes like their.
Correct.
Cool.
So, how are you allowing for co-op?
You're just going you would mainly be adding them as a person. So this way, I'm going to add them.
So you can still add them as a person?
Correct, but you would
Team.
correct.
Oh,
So they can only see the documents that they share with you, whereas somebody on your team can see any document in there at all time.
So pretty much all the mentees should have Mark Hill as their,
I don't know. Ask Marty for that. Because I don't know if it would be him or if it would be Kay who would be doing the stuff for him.
Say, I don't want to put this to death, but if you have view only, and I send out a contract, and view only is the OB, can they see that their client has signed? Or that my client has signed? When I send it out to my clients and for him view only.